Hello, YouTube. Hi, everyone. And I see Mike is here with me. Yeah, I set the stream up about 30 minutes ago. I had a gap, and I'd like to just finish what I was talking about the other day regarding the Crusades. I provided some good historical detail as to what they were historically, and all of the battles and all the issues that occurred prior would show there were 462 years of Muslim aggression, hundreds, if not thousands, of attacks. And eventually, after 462 years, with 70% of what was then Christendom lost, swallowed up by Islamic jihad, finally the church responded. And this allowed something like a 200-year gap for Europe to strengthen itself and to keep the Muslims out of Europe long enough so that Europe could strengthen and eventually fight back. And don't forget, it took until after 1683, roughly 1699, before Islam at that point was finally kicked out of Europe. Need to blow my nose. Still kind of getting over a small cold. And okay, that aside. Right, so let me see. Let me get my notes up. Pick up where we left off. So Mike, what is the Battle of Uri? Hello, HH, welcome. Hello there, Lydia. And yeah, so we ended off with, so just go one page up. I need to share my screen. So I spent my afternoon after I finished work today. I spent the time drilling holes in the walls and hanging paintings and putting up things on walls, basically. So I had to buy a new drill and to figure out how to use it. They new cordless and not the most powerful, but I'm not going to use it all that much. So I had to figure out all the settings on that thing and drill into masonry, which is never a lot of fun. But yeah, everything is looking good. We have painting hanged, and so I've still got to do things on the wall behind me here, and waiting for a sofa and blah blah. So yeah, Conociendo al Islam. Greetings from Colombia. Good to have you. Okay, we ended here when we know that Allah helps His friends destroy His enemies. And if you're not a Muslim, you are one of Allah's enemies, right? And of course, the Sharia teaches us unambiguously that these verses in the Quran that Muslims always seem to dispute as if they're contextual, they were actually only due to the sand people of the particular region of that particular time, and it doesn't apply to nonsense. We see the Sharia, which is eternal, teaches us these verses mean warfare for all time until Islam is established worldwide, meaning that there'll be a one world religion called Islam. Welcome. We have codename Honey Badger. So does anybody want to jump on the stream? Let me know in the chat and I can always drop the link. Okay, so let me continue. We finished here. I've only got a handful of slides I'd like to finish, but 10 more or so. Now, play the polytheists wherever you find them and take them and confine them and lie in ambush for them everywhere. Sounds a lot like what Hamas did on October 7th. But if they repent and perform the prayer and perform the prayer and pay the zakat, then set them free. You know the old saying, if you love someone, set them free. If they don't come back, you hunt them down and you kill them. At least. Anyway, so yeah, sorry, wrong topic, wrong subject. Let's move on. Okay. So if they become Muslims, then they're okay. But when they don't, well, then they have problems, right? So, and he said, fight those who do not believe in Allah, nor in the last day, who do not forbid what Allah and His apostles have made forbidden. That is the Sharia. They're referring here explicitly to the Sharia. The doctrine here is the doctrine of commanding the right and forbidding the wrong, which is imposing the Sharia and forbidding violations of the Sharia. And they speak of those who do not practice the religion of truth, the deen al-batil, right, is what we practice. This is the deen of falsehood. the deen that is vain, the deen that is empty, useless, that Allah doesn't listen to. Whereas Muslims practice the deen al-haq. Right? Technically, they call it the religion of truth. Well, we'll leave it at that. But al-batil is also one of the names of Satan. So if you don't follow the religion of truth, what's implied here, if you don't follow the religion of truth, Islam, you are following the religion of Satan by default. So if you're a Christian, you're following the religion of Satan. You're a Jew, religion of Satan. Hindu, religion of Satan. Baha'i, religion of Satan. You should get the picture. Of those who have been given the book, the Quran, until they pay the jizya and have been humiliated. Never mind humbled, it's humiliated. If you go into the status of dhimmis, if you go into like the Hidayah, we cover what it teaches about dhimmitude, about jizya, dhimmis. You're going to see that it is about abject humiliation, utter humiliation. So the flag of Portugal has 5 castles in the center that symbolize the 5 Moorish kings who were killed in the Battle of Urik. Just call them Muslims. They were Muslims. Yep, get a few games and listen to the threat incoming. And look, the threat's here. The threat's here. We just need to accept it. It's growing, but it's here. However, it thrives in the presence of ignorance. And I don't think we are that ignorant anymore. People are realizing women are starting to complain, and men listen when women complain. Women are not safe on the bus. Women are not safe when jogging. Women are not safe when walking home after work. Women are not safe with their children. Women are being molested, and we know who's doing it. This is starting to cause problems. Welcome, Edith. I take it's Edith, right, and not Edith. It must be the name, like Edith. So, welcome, Andrew. Let me see, have I missed anything? So yes, please do give us a like, share, subscribe. Do support the channel by letting people know about the streams, do discuss the content, do share the materials, do use the materials. And yeah, so please like, share, subscribe. And if anybody wants to come up, of course, the invitation has been made, let me know. Right, let me see. So, he goes on. The apostle of Allah said, I shall continue to fight the unbelievers until they say, there is no God but Allah. Now here's a question. Do you say there is no God but Allah? Because heck, I don't. So therefore, they cannot stop fighting. Because Muhammad didn't finish his mission. So the mission has to be finished by those who follow him. So therefore, this is not something that is contextual to the 7th century. It is happening right now. So Umar accepted the tradition of blah, blah, blah concerning the Magians. That would be, at the time, those are the Persians of the time, the Zoroastrians, and collected the jizya on the basis of the Quranic communication. So the Quran does teach collecting the jizya of those who have been given the book until they pay the jizya out of hand and have been humbled. That's Quran 9:29. And it states here on the basis of the Quran, which states that the unbeliever must be fought until they accept Islam. So this is ongoing today. Jihad has never stopped. The Crusades stopped in the 1200s, 800 plus years ago. The jihad has never stopped. It will never stop. It must be stopped. So this is from Al-Shafi, the Risala. Now, he wrote 2 Risalas about 30 years apart. He went to Egypt, learned some new things, made some edits, made some changes to his theological, theocratic beliefs, shall we say. And of course, he's the major of the 4 Mujtahids Mutlaq. He's the major influence on the Sharia. Not the first, but he was very, very formative. So we see that this is what he writes. This is a Mujtahid Mutlaq. He cannot be wrong. He's an absolute master of the Sharia. He's an absolute scholar. Mujtahid Mutlaq. So do we ignore the Mujtahid Mutlaq, who is absolutely perfect and all knowledgeable of all things Islam? Or do we listen to some rando in the chat? We don't listen to the rando in the chat. We read what they write in their major books. Now, to understand, these short Sharia manuals written by the Mujtahid Mutlaq tend to be fairly small, tend to be fairly short. The students then specialize in different areas, and a whole group of them, a whole bunch of them will get together and write. They're very large. So this may be 120 pages, let's say. It's 100 pages. Then they'll write a 2,000-page manual in great detail, which then covers all aspects of what he outlined. And they'll write this massive work on the law, and then of course someone else will write the summary after that. So typically you have the foundational outline, the Sharia manual, and the summary. Yeah, jizya is war tribute, nothing more. Yeah, and dhimmis are prisoners of war, quite bluntly. Okay, let me see if I missed anything. Okay, let's continue here. Now, this is from the Kitab al-Siyar al-Sagir, right? And notice it says here 100 great books of Islamic civilization. Not the Pakistani civilization, not the Bangladeshi, it's Islamic, because it's one nation, one world religion, right? One people, one belief. You work it out. And it's called Muslim international law, not Pakistani international law, not Canadian international law, Muslim. This is why we have CARE, the Council for American Islamic Relations, relations with the whole Islamic world, not with Egypt, not with Pakistan, Bangladesh, but with the Islamic world, because this is common to all of Islam. This is not an aberration by one group. This is what Islam as an assembly, as a community wants. Islam is communal. I mean, few people realize it, but it's communal. Think communism, right? So they speak here of, in this book, and it's 100 great books of Islamic civilization. So there have been various projects by various governments, Pakistan amongst them, Qatar and others, to take the most important books of the Islamic civilization, in this case, what they consider the 100 most influential, most critical, most necessary books, which are written in Urdu or written in Arabic, and they are translating them into English or other languages that are common, like English being the most common language. The reason being that most Muslims do not speak Arabic. Only at most 15% of Muslims speak Arabic, so they need these in other languages. So that's why when the Reliance of the Traveler was translated, it is the first major, well, not the very first, but let's say it's a major Islamic reference manual that was translated into English for that very reason, because it's a critical manual. It's think how much effort and time went into that, because they needed to get a good manual of the Sharia into English. So they take the time to find the best ones and they translate them. So this is one of those projects. So these books cannot simply be dismissed, because some government spent a lot of money specifically choosing these books and then translating them for good reason. So, and of course, Muslims will just gaslight and deny. Yeah, exactly. Islam's universal. Communists, exactly. Think about it. Catholic means something similar, right? The Catholic Church doesn't have an army. I know someone's going to go, but Lloyd, the Jesuits, and my reply to that is, please stop being stupid. Now, moving on. Let's see. No, but it's communal, daily COVID. There's a communal element, and you'll find there are elements like with the way the Sharia works. You'll find the same in communism, the way the ideology works. You'll find great deals of overlap. I'm not saying that they necessarily the one came from the other, but the ideas, the parallels are crazy once you start to look into them. Okay, so the Kitab al-Siyar al-Sagir, Muslim International Law. And it says the army's treatment of the disbelievers, chapter 2. Now, this is a religion. I'm not sure why they're talking about armies and so on, but great. When the Muslim army fights against the country where the message of Islam has already reached, it is good if they are again invited to accept Islam. But it doesn't say that we were invaded by it. They said, no, when we go to war against those non-Muslims, right? But if that is not done, even then there is no harm. Hold on, wait. You're supposed to, according to the Sharia, as we read before, you're supposed to invite them to Islam, and they give them the choice to enter into Islam, to become Muslims. And, you shouldn't do that because it's a grave sin. And then we realized afterwards, stated in the Sharia, in the previous episode, that, but if you don't do it, it's okay, don't worry about it. In fact, it states, look, do not kill women, do not kill children, but if you kill them, it's too bad. They weren't Muslims anyway, who cares? It'll say don't chop down trees. That's not nice, but fuck it, if you have to, just do it. Whatever. Don't kill the women. Don't kill babies. Really, don't kill babies. But if you have to, it'll state bluntly in the Sharia, if you do murder babies, if you do murder women, well, there's no punishment. Why is there no punishment? Well, because we can't have punishment or threats of some kind of pain on our soldiers, inhibiting them from doing what is necessary to impose Islam on these dirty Kafirs. Now, can we? You'll find that is explicit within the Sharia. So if you do attack them, do invite them to Islam. But if you don't invite them to Islam, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's okay. So there's no harm. You see, it's okay. If you don't do it, that's fine. And if an ambush is made against them, the disbelievers, in the daytime or during the night, without inviting them to Islam, it makes no difference. So Islam has rules of war. Muslims love to say Islam has rules of war. Has rules. We're the most moral army. We have the most moral rules of war. But it explicitly says if you break those rules, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Just I mean, ask yourself. Should I go rape a teenager and a young girl in Britain or have a burger? Viewers can't decide. That's the choice Islam leaves you with. So yeah, that's pretty much what. Yeah. So moving on, section when a group of the guaranteed citizens, that's what they call the dhimmis, break the covenant, right? A guaranteed citizen of the people of the dhimma. When the guaranteed citizens break the covenant along with their women and move away to the territory of war. Now, what's the territory of war? Well, do you live in a Muslim country? No, you don't. Well, then you live in the territory of war. Does that mean you are making war on Islamic countries? No, of course not. It means they must make war on you. This is Islamic international law. I mean, it can't be wrong now, can it? Allah doesn't make mistakes. Muhammad's perfect, remember. So you live in the territory of war. I live in the territory of war. Where do you live? The UK? That's the territory of war. Oh yeah, and pretty soon it's going to be the first Muslim country in Europe in Western Europe with a nuclear arsenal. Yeah, yeah, Sweden ready to become Swedenistan. I can tell you they break the first-hand knowledge. Yes, yes, exactly so. In Denmark, the Council of Copenhagen have allowed Muslims to play the Quran on a loudspeaker in the city center. They do it to provoke. And yes, yes. No, look, this is making me nervous, you say, Pete. Well, truth is important. We have to know what we're dealing with, don't we? But look, the facts, the truth. Sunlight is a really good disinfectant. So when this knowledge starts to get out there, as this knowledge starts to build, they can't hide anymore. They can't lie. They can't deceive. They're getting away through deceit, and they're getting away with what they're getting away with because we haven't even started fighting them. We haven't even started opposing them. It's not that we're weak. We haven't even begun to fight back. We're in a war, and we don't even realize it. So, yes, these books are the best of Islamic culture. So why many Muslims don't like them, others don't know about their own sources? Well, it's Islam, right? No one said it made a lot of sense. But yeah, Muslims don't like them because they're embarrassing, because you know about them. Not because they don't like them, because you know about what's going on here. Now, they speak here of if the apostates get power and force in their area, which becomes territory of disbelief. Oh, so where apostates are, that is the territory of disbelief. And then they move away to the territory of war. So the region where apostasy becomes rife is the territory of disbelief. And then they run away to Sweden. Sweden is the territory of war. What do? You go there and you kill them. Ask Salwan Nomika. Now, he wasn't apostate, but he was living in the territory of war, right? And he was making war on Islam. And what is it to make war on Islam? It's to reject Islam. It's to reject Muhammad. That's war on Islam. And yeah, you know what the punishment for anything you do wrong in Islam is, right? Don't have to tell you. So let me see. Have I missed anything? Okay, what have I missed? The average Muslim isn't even supposed to know. Yes, it's generally the territory of the scholars. They're supposed to have a general idea, though. Yeah, they do use similar tactics to the mafia. I mean, the mafia in Sicily very probably came from Islam. Probably the ideas, the concepts, even the terminology, the word mafia is established from Islam, from the Islamic presence in that region, on that island. Okay. Oh, man, the comments are moving at quite a pace here. Yeah, we need to oppose at every point. We need to speak up. We need to just seriously, make a noise. Make a noise. Speak up on social media. Don't be silent. Speak up. The more you speak, there's more of you than there are of them. If you think about it, everyone goes, well, there's 2 billion Muslims. Yeah, well, there's 7 billion people who don't like Islam. So yeah, you generally outnumber them. So don't worry about it too much. Okay, let's continue what it says here. They speak of the people of justice, right? The Muslims. And they speak of the people of rebellion. That's you in general, and that's those apostates in specific. They speak of guaranteed citizens. That's the dummies who are paying them money. Are you sending aid to Hamas? If you're the US, well, luckily that's coming to an end now. But yeah, otherwise you're a dummy. Are you paying welfare to Muslims in your country? Well, you're a guaranteed citizen paying your jizya like a good little dummy. Okay, so they see themselves as the good people, the righteous people, the clean people. You're the dirty people. You are you're given a guarantee. It's like, pay us a little bit of money, and you wouldn't want to see something bad happen to your property. You've got such a nice piece of window here. It'd be shame if a rock got thrown through it, kind of thing, right? And they speak of prohibitions of warlike operations during the sacred months has been abrogated. Oh my. So the Quran seems to be correct, Quran 9:5, that prohibition of warlike operations during the sacred months has been abrogated. They can make war during the sacred months, the month of Ramadan. And it says, slay the polytheists wherever you find them, Quran 9:5. So that's what Islamic international law teaches us, that warfare is okay. They are at war with you. You live in the territory of war. And shame on you for making war on Islam by not becoming a Muslim. You nasty war criminal. Are you a Muslim? No, then you're a war criminal. You're fighting against Islam. Shame on you. Shame on you, you war criminal. You're no better than pick the name of your favorite war criminal. Backward ideas for righteousness. Yeah, mafia tactics are Islamic tactics. And that's pretty true. Okay, so what are you guys learning from this? I mean, what do you get from this? Hopefully this gives, those of you on you, welcome. Hopefully it gives you an insight into Islam based on the most authoritative legal sources. The Sharia is where the rubber meets the road with Islam. It's the final interpretation of all things Islam. Daily Corbett says, I never imagined such an evil could exist. It was also a shock for me, brothers, what it is. Yeah, no, the first time I read these things, it was shocking for me years ago when I started discovering these things and reading them, collecting these books. So now we're looking at the Hidayah. This is volume 2, page 139, links in the description. This is Al-Siyar, okay? Now this is from where the term Sira comes from, right? The Sira are the biographies of Muhammad, which is nice, but the term Sira really means the wars of the Prophet. So his biography, his Gospels, as we look at the Gospels of Jesus, right? Jesus didn't lead any divisions into battle, didn't order anyone murdered. Muhammad did. So his Gospels are the good news, whereas Muhammad's Gospels, the Sira, are his wars. The example here is his warfare. So the institutes, now Siyar is the plural of Sirat, which in its primitive sense signifies regulation in matters of spiritual and temporal. Siyar in the language of the law especially applies to the institutes of the Prophet in his wars. The Sirah, the Prophet in his wars. So Muhammad went to war according to the Sharia. The Sharia can't be wrong, so I don't know why Muslims bother lying to us all the time. Maybe cool, that's just a try. Very welcome. Thank you. The greatest weapon we have is patience, which is why they threaten death. We need to constantly, we need to hurry up a little bit. Patience is not always a virtue. Yeah, so now notice, you can see here in the introduction in this book too, we've got of the manner of waging war. Now you've got a religion teaching how to wage war. It actually is a warfare instructional manual, quite literally. This is the art of war, Sun Tzu. Right. And of course, some fool's going to go like, well, but this was written like 1400 years ago, 1200 years ago, 900 years ago. It's not valid today. Yeah, the Quran was written 1400 years ago. It's definitely not valid today. Throw that book out first. Let's toss that in the trash. Can we burn it beforehand? So, yeah. Now, of plunder, piracy, of plunder and the division of plunder, piracy, sand pirates, and of the conquest of infidels. Are you an infidel? Are you a Muslim? No, you're an infidel. In fact, you're a war criminal, infidel. Right. The Hidayah, volume 2. War must be carried on against the infidels at all times by some party of the Muslims. I repeat, war must be carried on against the infidels at all times. So when they say that it's a small group of Muslims, it's a small party of Muslims. When you ever hear that excuse, it's because it's a compulsory action within Islam, and a small group of Muslims must do it, or all of the Muslims will go to hell, because Allah rewards them for this. This is jihad is fard al-kifaya, it's communal obligation. It must be carried out, or they will be held to pay, literally, for the entire Muslim ummah. Okay, please don't use the word Islamists. There are no Islamists. They have never been Islamists. They will never be Islamists. They're called Muslims. It's not Islamism, it's called Islam. The distinction, and Islamist and Islam are false distinctions that actually help to make the problem much worse, because it falsely makes a distinction that does not exist. It says, oh, no, Islam is fine. Muslims are just great. It's Islamism. It's those Muslims with little purple noses. We just shouldn't let those Muslims into the country. You can tell by the purple nose. You're not going to see a purple nose. The difference is called azima and rukhsa, strictness and dispensation. Azima, strictness. Rukhsa, dispensation, leeway, a loosening, a relaxation of the rules. And under Azima, a small group must follow the Sharia strictly. So these people are just following Sharia strictly. And people who use the word Islamism and who use the word Islamist are part of the problem. Now, it's another word, another fake word like Islamophobia. And those who want to abide by that are simply aiding the Muslim cause. So then the question you've got to ask is, are you part of the solution or part of the problem? Because if you don't use the words Islam and Muslim, which is what it is, then you are part of the problem. No, these are all false distinctions, Brinta. Everything you've written here, the radical right, this is all Islam. This is all in the Sharia. There's no distinction. This is all in the Sharia. So either you are making an error because you've been misinformed, or I'm not saying this is you, but this is what happens. Muslims will lie, they'll pretend to be Christians, and they'll plant false information. And some well-intentioned but completely ignorant Westerner will pick this up. I bet you, let me explain to you, everything you're saying here we can find in the Sharia. It's standard, normal, orthodox, regular, everyday Islam. But if I asked you to come on and show me these terms and these concepts in you wouldn't find them anywhere. We can find them in the Sharia. It's regular Islam. It's not some radical form of Islam. There's a word for that. Bullshit. It's just the Sharia. It's Islam. It's normal Islam, everyday Islam. That's all it is. So let me see. Yes, everything we call extremism is standard Orthodox Islam. It is normal Islam. So let me see. Yeah, well, speak to Raymond, tell him to get in touch with me. I mean, his historical knowledge, my knowledge of the Sharia. So let me see. Muhammad did those things. He was a Muslim, right? He wasn't an Islamist. Okay, now it goes on in the Hidayah. Now, the Hidayah is the major Hanafi school of fiqh, Sharia manual. The sacred injunction concerning war is sufficiently observed. Notice the sacred injunction of war, right? The required holy command, sacred injunction, the holy command of war, religion of war, is sufficiently observed when it is carried on by any party or tribe of Muslims. When that small minority goes and makes war, then they are fulfilling the obligation to Allah. Fard al-Kifaya, this communal obligation. And then it is no longer of any force with respect to the rest. And we'll see this repeated across multiple Sharia manuals. So then as long as a small group like ISIS is out there murdering people, or as long as some guy in London is killing people on a bridge, or 2 or 3 guys with balaclavas in Belgium are busy shooting Westerners on a subway with AK-47s, then the requirement to do so is absolved from the sweet little grandma next door. But if no one else was doing it, then grandma needs to go find herself a little vest and some bombs to put on it, and she needs to take a walk to the subway. It is established as a divine ordinance Oh, Allah wants war. By the word of Allah, and Allah has said in the Quran, slay the infidels. Okay, they've got a little cross here, which tells us to go down and have a look. And we'll see that that means slay means to kill, right? So we'll get to all that. And also by a saying of the Prophet. So the Quran says Muslims must kill the infidels. That's in the Sharia. That's not some rando making it up. That's the Sharia. And war is permanently established until the day of judgment. My golly, war is permanently established until the day of judgment, meaning the ordinance respecting war, the command, the order of conducting permanent warfare is established in the Quran, and it is a saying of Muhammad. The observance, however, in the degree above mentioned suffices, well, as long as a small minority, a small group of Muslims are busy, jumping on buses and blowing themselves up, because war is not a positive injunction, as it is in its nature murderous and destructive, and is enjoined or commanded for the purpose of advancing the true faith, Islam. Warfare in Islam is permanently established. Killing the infidels is permanently established for the purpose of advancing Islam, for the purpose of advancing this true faith, which is advanced through murder. I hope it's clear what you are learning here. And they speak of meaning the jihad fard, or ordained war, the compulsory war, ordained war, commanded war. It's ordained in the Quran, it's ordained by Allah, it's ordained by Muhammad. Enjoined or commanded in various passages of the Quran to be waged against infidels. It is termed the Holy War. Okay, I guess that clarifies that. Let's continue. And they speak of Muslims making war. The obligation is no longer binding upon the rest, in the same manner as in the prayers for the dead, because you have Fard al-Ain and Fard al-Kifaya. You have personal obligations versus communal obligations. So as long as a small minority, including the imams, are conducting these communal obligations, then the crime of non-performance doesn't fall on the rest. So if, however, no Muslims were to make war, if no Muslims were to go out with their AK-47s in Belgium, as they did today, and start shooting people in the subway, then the whole of the Muslims would incur criminality of neglecting it. You see, it's a crime not to commit murder in the name of Allah. Why are you letting this into your country? This is what the Sharia teaches. I believe this is unambiguous. And any questions, any thoughts? So you know what? Here's the thing, though. I spent a lot of my life in the Middle East. I spent a significant amount of time in the Middle East. I've traveled extensively across the Middle East. I've worked, been places, seen things, had a great time, etc., etc. People really just need to stop reading the Quran for a month time. Okay, stop reading the Hadiths. Give that up, because if you're going to stay at the bottom rung of knowledge, you're going to remain at the bottom rung of knowledge. Start reading the Sharia. If you want to know Islam, read the Sharia. Honestly, because you're going to find a hadith that says, be nice to people, and you'll see one that says, be nasty. And then you're going to go, hold on, but the Quran says here, be nasty, or the hadith says, be nasty, and the Muslim will just quote you the other one that says the opposite. And where do you go? The Sharia, there's no nice Sharia. There isn't one. It's the final understanding. So really, stop playing their game. Muslims have indoctrinated Christians to have debates according to the rules that Muslims have set up, so they can lose with dignity. At least I acted with dignity and I lost. We were lied to, but at least I told the truth, even if we lost. And oh my gosh, they're going to rape my daughter. Oh, well, too bad, but at least I'm going to have my dignity. So really, maybe you want to focus on the issues, focus on the things that matter, focus on the knowledge that is going to matter, right? I mean, there's far too many people who know the Quran and know the Hadith, and so what? It's like, it's basic knowledge. It's baby level knowledge. Even Muslims know that, right? Yeah, Muslims are so afraid for non-Muslims on the Sharia. Yeah, why do you think I can't get those Muslims to come on here and discuss the Sharia with me? It's fascinating stuff. Okay, so let me see. Let me see if I've missed anything. Okay, let's continue. Now, the criminality of neglecting it. And they speak of, now, earlier you saw this here, it says that slay the infidels, right? This little cross here, that is simply repeated here. This is explained here. The destruction of the sword. So, in other words, killing you by the sword, death by the sword, is incurred by infidels. Now, what does the New Testament say about those who live by the sword, die by the sword? But the destruction of the sword is incurred by infidels, even though they are not the first aggressors, as appears from various passages in the sacred writings, which are generally received to this effect. So it states here very bluntly, infidels may be attacked without provocation. So when Muslims tell you, but no, it's all defensive jihad, it's all defensive war, they would defend. No, the Sharia explicitly teaches infidels may be attacked with no provocation. Muslims are meant to shoot and hit first. Remember this story. Your mother, as a good Westerner, as a good Christian, taught you when angry, when someone is giving you a hard time, count to 10. The kids who live under Hamas and groups like that, those Muslims are being taught when you feel annoyed, count to 3. See, so he's going to hit you first, a long time before you get to 10. Do understand the difference. So they are instructed to kill you, even if you are not the first aggressor. Why? Because you're in the wrong, because you're not a Muslim. Therefore, there is no protection for you, and you are making war on Allah. So therefore, they are fully justified to kill you right there and then, as this states. Why am I reading this wrong? Luckily, infants are not obligated to make war. Okay, so war is not a duty required of infants, thank heavens. Although infants can report for a sexual pleasure to the nearest adult male who wants to marry one. That is permitted, however. I have covered that at length in other talks, but yeah, at least they don't have to go to war and die. And then they speak here of qatal, okay, meaning war in its operations, such as fighting, slaying, war. They mean real war, as in killing people. So there's no confusion here. Now let's go through the Hidayah. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's amazing how you're not seeing the anti-war people protesting Islam, right? Now, I do apologize if I upset some of you by being blunt, but the problem is that people are dying. You are losing your countries. Girls are being raped in the hundreds of thousands, if not in the millions by now, in the UK. And yeah, everyone is still trying to figure out, well, but Quran 9:5 says, look, you've got an entire playbook. For instance, if you want to debate the Quran is really, really, really important, you'll go, the Quran maybe has, I don't know, one sentence on chopping off of hands. Okay, so then write me a 60-page essay. Do that. Write me a 60-page essay on that, detailing all of the examples and all of the legal stuff and all, various scenarios and all the things the Imam has to do and the different types of the crime and how the thinking applies to that. Just write me a 60-page essay on the chopping off of hands, which is in like one sentence in the Quran. And I bet you're going to have a really hard time doing that. But I can find those 60 pages in the Sharia, which will go into great detail, more detail than you ever realized existed, on what it means exactly in that. When that became a law, the chopping off of hands, of amputation, we can go into a huge amount of detail. So the Quran, you can quite literally throw it away because it's no longer that necessary, because what is relevant of the Quran, what is not abrogated of the Quran, is found in the Sharia. Just get it there. What is relevant of the Hadith is found in the Sharia. So yeah, you can play in the shallow end of the pool, or you can actually get to know Islam, read the Sharia, right? So let me see, am I missing anything? Yeah, Starmer, yeah, Keir Starmer, Keir Stalin, yeah. Let me see. Okay, now, on the manner of waging war. Okay, so the Sharia of this peaceful religion teaches how to wage war. Infidels must first be called upon to embrace the faith, except when you don't. Then it's okay. I mean, you must, but you should, but you don't have to. It's okay. If you don't, yeah, don't worry about it. When the Muslims enter the enemy's country, it doesn't say when they invade you and you defend yourself. It says you go and fight them. You enter their country. When you besiege the cities or strongholds of the infidels, it is necessary to invite them to embrace the faith. Because Ibn Abbas relates of the Prophet that he never destroyed any without previously inviting them to embrace the faith. If they embrace the faith, it is unnecessary to make war, because that which was the design of the war is then obtained without war. So the whole point of warfare was to make you become a Muslim. The whole threat of warfare, the threat of losing your livelihood, spilling your blood, enslaving your family, burning your house down, taking your fields, taking all your possessions, leaving you destitute, making you a slave. All of that, the whole point of the entire enterprise of Islam, this criminal enterprise of Islamic jihad, is to make you a Muslim and to frighten you into giving up and becoming a Muslim. You understand? It states it in black and white here. So the whole design of the war is then obtained without the war. The Prophet, moreover, has said, we are directed to make war upon men until such time as they shall confess there is no God but Allah. And when they repeat this creed, their persons, their lives, and their properties are protected. Like the mafia will protect you if you pay them a little bit of money. If they don't accept the call to faith, they must be called upon to pay the jizya, or the capitation tax. And if you don't, then you decapitate them. The Prophet directed the commander of his armies to do so, and because by submitting to this tax, war is terminated. We'll take your money then. See? So, and it says upon the authority of the Quran, and if they pay, they're safe. And if they refuse, then they must pay tribute. If they refuse, they must pay tribute. Right. See, have I missed any good comments? Let's continue here. Okay, so war is then terminated upon the authority of the Quran, right? And then it goes on. Infidels must be called to the faith previous to making war upon them. It is not lawful to make war upon any people who have never been called to the faith without requiring them to embrace it, because the Prophet instructed his commanders, telling them to call the infidels to the faith, because the people will then perceive, they will know that they are attacked for the sake of religion. The people will know they're being attacked for the sake of religion, because you're the wrong religion. Muslims must attack you. And it's not for the sake of taking your property. As long as you become a Muslim, you can keep your property. But if you're not a Muslim, well, we're going to have to attack you because you're not a Muslim. And then we'll take your property, your wife, your children, your livestock, your money. We'll enslave you all. So, and we'll make slaves of the children. And on this consideration, it is possible. So when they think about this, it is possible that they will be induced to agree to the call to save themselves the trouble of war. So, Valentino, very welcome. So, yeah, what are you guys getting from this so far? Hopefully you can see Islam is, do I have to tell you what this is? This is a shakedown operation. This is a criminal enterprise. This is evil. And it states here, double check. It says here, if the infidels be attacked, if the infidels are attacked and killed, okay, there's no fine that is due. So if you do attack the infidels and you kill them, it's okay. If you don't call them to the faith and you attack them and kill them, don't worry about it. If a Muslim attacks the infidels without previously calling them to the faith, he is an offender. So if a Muslim attacks you without calling to the faith, he's an offender. What we saw previously in a different Sharia manual, it says the same thing, because this is forbidden. But yet, if you do attack them before inviting them, and you kill them, and you take their property, there is no fine, there's no expiation, there's no atonement, nothing. Nothing is due, because that which protects them, namely Islam, doesn't exist in them. They're not Muslims, so it's okay. Doesn't matter. So you have no protection. Muslims are lying to you about the rules of war in Islam. Nor are they under the protection of place, namely the Muslim territory, because you're in the house of war. You deserved it. Understand? So in the same manner as the slaying of women or infant children, because Muslims love to tell you, but look, we don't make war on women and babies and infant children. We have the great rules of war that are so moral. Lies. Total lies. because in the same manner as the slaying of women or infant children of infidels is forbidden. Oh, it's forbidden, thank heavens, good grief. But if you were to slay them, you are not liable to a fine. So what happens if I kill a bunch of women and children? No fine, don't worry about it. You're not going to be fined. You won't receive a fine. It's like a parking ticket because you slaughtered a bunch of babies. And do you understand the inverted morals and the skew priorities of Islam? How low you are in terms of their understanding of your value as a person. And all of this is sanctioned by the law, the Sharia law. And that is to say, it is enjoined, commanded, and authorized in the sacred writings, in the Sharia. All of this is commanded and authorized in the sacred writings. It's theoretically forbidden, so they can make the claim that it is. In practice, it may as well not exist. In practice, it means absolutely nothing. So let me see. Let me see. So let's continue. Right now, Fiqh Sunnah, page 221 to 226. Let me see if I can find that book. And let me see Fiqh Sunnah. By Sheikh Al-Bouti. Let's have a look here. 221 to 226. Let me bring it up. Let's see, 221. I don't necessarily have to go through this. There's a discussion on jihad in that book. I'll skip on that. So tell you what, I'm going to drop the link here if anybody wants to come up and ask a relevant question. So yeah, I'll drop the link here. I'll spend a few minutes. Hopefully that has given you a great insight into the mindset, into the practices, into the doctrine, into the threat doctrine that is Islam. It's in the Sharia. You can get a lot of general information from the Quran. You can get some general information from the Hadiths. You're not going to get the specifics. You'll find examples. Those have to be distilled into law. All of these are the roots of Islamic law. They're the sources of Islamic law. They're not Islamic law itself. Islamic law is a lot more detailed. As I said, we can go to 50 something pages of discussion just on amputation. You're not going to find that in the Quran. You will find it in the Sharia. So let me see. Yeah, when they say the rate of zakat is higher than the jizya, then why would anyone convert? Exactly. Yeah, let me see. So, yeah. Now, they'll lie about anything and everything. It's legal to lie. In fact, it's obligatory, compulsory to lie in Islam. So, yeah, anybody wants to come up and ask one or two questions, I'll leave the floor open for a few minutes. Of course, they lie about it. It's obligatory. It's compulsory to lie about it. And okay, yeah. So I didn't prep this one because I didn't check the slide. I didn't prep on that. I can also have a look at what the Fiqh Sunnah does tell us. And if it's 221. See, the legitimacy of fighting Islam was not firmly established until after the Prophet's emigration to defense of Islamic mission. Let me see. Unless I just go to 221. Double check here. See if I'm missing. 221 to 226. Okay, so yeah, so I didn't prep on this one, so I'd have to find out what it is that's relevant here about this. A general word about jihad and its legitimacy. Jihad and armed conflict. I mean, I think I've said enough, and it goes on because I can prepare something in the future on jihad, and we can discuss that at length. Oops, we can discuss jihad at length another time. So, any questions? Anybody planning to? I will come up next time, kind of between things. Okay. Yeah, there's going to be an uprising at some point, very possibly, if we can't openly discuss this. Yeah, jizya is not voluntary. So, any other point or topic or question? Anything I need to raise? Anything anyone wants to ask that I can assist with? Otherwise, if not, then I should shut this down. Yeah, uncovering a sin is a bigger sin than, yeah, uncovering another sin is bigger than the sin that you, speaking of a sin, mentioning a sin, revealing another Muslim sin is actually a greater sin than what they did in the first place. What is the inheritance law? You can just look it up in the Reliance. I mean, if we go to, just go to Reliance, just close that. So you can just go to inheritance in the Reliance of the Traveler. Just go to inheritance right there, page 460. So the killer does not inherit, it tells us, and so on, but then we can go to 460. Let's go look for page 460. So here we are, heading towards inheritance. So you can find most of what you need in the Sharia, and 464. And it starts here. So this is inheritance. Okay, starting here. Inheritance, you can see you're going to find a lot of information. So inheritance, and you can see with just the index alone is like one page. That's a lot of stuff. What else does it say? Slavery, inheritance. You can inherit slaves. Uncertainty as to who died first, the estate, division of shares, the maths that doesn't math. Husband share, wife share, father share, mother share, daughter share, following persons eliminated by intervening heirs. Sons, daughters share, sisters share, paternal half sisters share, full sisters share when the daughter exists. Grandmother's share, okay, great stuff. 2 pages so far. Who eliminated the eternal maternal half brothers share? Yeah. Yeah, so you can just continue with this and it goes on. Yeah, so you're looking at 2.5 pages of the just the index discussing this. So you can learn all about inheritance and read it there. I think I read it a long time ago. It's not like it's burning necessity to discuss. Yeah, but you can find slavery in the Hidayah. You can find it if you go into the Hidayah, links in the description, you will be able to get it. Um, I mean, they're allowed to lie to benefit Islam. As simple as that. They're general rules. They are very general rules. So they're allowed to lie to benefit Islam. And you can do things that can benefit you as a Muslim as well. And you are unworthy. So based on your low status, why would they want to see you succeed? Because Islam needs to be uppermost. So there's lots of general rules that give them the impression that they can do whatever they want as long as they succeed. And, the ends justify the means. Well, it's so simple. Yeah. So what else? Would you be willing to do a collab with more famous YouTubers? Look, AP has insisted. I know we share common mods, and I know his mods have spoken to him about me numerous times. He refuses to talk to me, refuses to engage with me for whatever reason. On top of that, one time he was asking for an expert on the Sharia to come on the show to do a talk, and then several people, including his mods, recommended me, and he changed his mind and decided not to do a talk. That's what I was told. And I have seen, and I've been sent screenshots by various mods and others that where they're talking about the Sharia or whatever it is, they'll raise a point, and then several people will do $5, $10 super chats, which they'll bring up, and it'll say, you need to get Lloyd on to talk about the Sharia. Well, Lloyd can answer that question. He can go into the Sharia and discuss it. And then they'll go, never heard of that guy. Don't know who that guy is. Never heard of him. Gee whiz. Well, anyway, have a nice day. Moving on. So you explain that. I have no idea what the problem is, but they, for some reason, will not talk to me, doesn't want to, pretends he's never heard of me, I don't exist. And you can see it, like he gets another super chat and never heard of me, but he might have heard of me 10 minutes ago, but might have heard of me a year ago, 2 years ago, might have had numerous of his mods send messages to him. But So I have no idea what the problem is. So you explain it. I can't. So, yep, that is the case. That is definitely the case. So I've actually got someone coming next week. He's a well-known person, or reasonably well-known person in Sweden, coming on to talk about this. I've also reached out to a Swedish politician that someone asked me to reach out to, but I doubt they'll get back to me. So maybe I do. I mean, maybe I do. I mean, it's like a lot of people base their knowledge on the Quran and Hadith, and I mostly don't care about those sources. They're not that relevant to me. The Sharia is far more interesting, far more detailed, far more specific and explicit and direct with all of these things. And the Sharia explains, the explanatory value of the Sharia is far greater than all of these other sources that ultimately were, used to form what became the Sharia, the final source. AP, apostate prophet, apostate prophet. So Nikolai Sennels. Yeah, I know Nikolai Sennels. I've read his work often. I've mentioned his work on this channel a few times, several times, not that long ago. Yeah, there are too few Lloyds. That's why I use the name. So yeah, I'd like to have a few more Lloyds. Yeah. So yeah. So guys, okay, no one's coming up. I see no one's coming up. Then I think I've covered what I needed to cover today, and I think you understand that the Crusades were critically necessary, and they stopped the jihads. That's why they have to shame the Crusaders. That's why I have to shame Westerners today for that history. If that didn't happen, and they don't want it to happen again, if it didn't happen, they would have taken Europe completely. They would have just stormed into Europe and stomped Europe flat. And you would be praying today with your butt in the air. So this is why they need to shame the history of the Crusades. Don't let that happen. Be a crusader, even if only in your heart. But there's a great scene. The movie is, I love the movie. Historically, it's a little bit of trash, and it's of course the Muslims are nice, and the Crusaders were evil. I mean, the Crusaders eventually went stale. That's a certainty. But if you look at the Kingdom of Heaven, they make people into knights, and it says, "Do you think that making someone a knight makes him a better fighter?" And he says, "Yes," and he makes him swear an oath. So look, have a look at that scene, right, where they make him swear the oath, right, to tell the truth even if it kills you. And I can't remember exactly what the creed is, but watch it, right? Make a pact with yourself that you are going to do the right thing. You take responsibility to speak up when you see the untruth. That you are going to arm yourself with facts. You are going to do what you can within the reach of your hands. You are going to write a comment to set the record straight. You are going to write to the newspaper, to your politicians. You're going to make a call. You are going to make a meme. You are going to do whatever it is within your grasp to contribute to the fight for the truth, for your culture, against the encroachment of this evil, violent ideology called Islam. So make an oath. Watch the movie. Get an inspiration from your history. Be inspired by your history, not ashamed and embarrassed of it, as they're trying to make you be. Be inspired by Churchill, if that's what it comes to, right? Let him inspire you. Don't let them shame you, and don't let them make you believe that he was, oh my God, he was racist, and we need to forget him. We need to erase him from history. Seriously, no. So yeah, guys, I think that is enough. The Siege of Vienna is a great movie. Yeah, I've watched it. So yeah, you'd be inbreds. Is the Sharia applicable across all Islam types? Of course. What Islam types? You got to be really clear how you mean that phrase, because Muslims have been very good, and their dhimmis have been very good at confusing the issue with false terminology, confusing terminology, and there's different schools of jurisprudence, and yeah, but it's all one deen at the end of the day. Yep. So guys, I think we will call it a night here then. Thank you very much. I'll be on again. I might come on tomorrow. Who knows? I've got some things that I've still got to go and continue with. Dr. Martin Luther, my favorite psychopath. Yeah, the most Martin Luther, the most toxic, self-absorbed, psychopathic, criminal theologian to ever live. I need to do a talk on him. I need to continue with that. I also need to finish the US as a Christian nation. I need to continue with that. And I also need to continue with the other talk that I was doing the other day, last week. So I want to finish a couple of those things about the Septuagint. I also need to finish my Septuagint series. I've got so many things on the go to go back over the history. But thanks, guys. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for all your support. And yeah, again, like, share, subscribe, tell everyone about it, learn from it, use it. Okay? Take care, everyone. And let me hide that on stream. So good night, everyone. God bless.